revisiting my dreams with the king.
This is all pre-recorded, so I can edit, I can chop and screw whatever I want to do with it, and I am
Oh,
and
I
I
got
do.
work for you then, buddy.
So we will.
Continuing to do what God allows me to do, and keeps filling me up, and um, getting ready for the workshop to my leadership legacy. So we're gonna come back together, and we're gonna talk about what the book really means, what it means to you. A lot of times, you can't get it all in a book.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to come back together and truly talk about the ins and outs. So, what did you mean when
hmm
you said this? So, I'm looking
hmm
forward to that in May.
Oh, well, some of that's gonna happen right here tonight too.
All right, all right, let's
Or
go.
we at
Don't
least we're
make me
gonna
give
get.
too many secrets.
Yo, good people, welcome to another episode of The Ride, a journey to your dreams. I'm your host, Johnny King III, aka Still Chill Leroy, and this is the Revisit Your Dreams podcast show exclusively on the Revisit Your Dreams channel right here at youtube.com. As always, we have a very special guest today and a very special show. But like always, I like to start off the show by reminding you of what we're doing here at Revisit Your Dreams. Here at Revisit Your Dreams, we provide motivation, inspiration, encouragement. We explore real life stories of trial, error, and success, and maybe even provide a few laughs along the way. Welcome again to season 3 of the podcast. There's a lot going on in the world today, and you could be anywhere doing anything. So I thank you for being here with us tonight and enjoying the time with us. We hope you are celebrating and honoring women's history in this month in some way. Today's episode is titled Making Leadership a Lasting Legacy. My
Yeah.
very special guest today is a dynamic thought leader and professional executive and business manager. She's the author of the recently published book, My Leadership Legacy by Monika Shotwell, designed to encourage and inspire the leader within each of us. Miss
Yeah.
Mo has spent nearly 30 years developing and inspiring others while still maintaining her own professional and personal goals for success. As a passionate and caring leader, she has guided more than 30 career promotions and has mentored entrepreneurs, college graduates, nurses, real estate professionals, mortgage brokers, and even music artists. She grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, spent many years as a resident of Atlanta, Georgia, and now resides in the city of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. She's a
Yeah.
proud mother, a creative writer, and a photographer, all of which are joyful skills she is mastering. If you are a leader on any level, if you desire to lead others, or you want to know the secret to developing yourself into a leader that develops others, then this is an episode you want to stay tuned for.
Yeah.
Please welcome to the show those who are impacted by her know her affectionately as Miss Mo, my
Yeah.
friend and sister, my very special guest and author, Miss Monika Shotwell. Welcome to the show.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm glad to have you. Glad you're here.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
accepting the invitation.
Absolutely.
I've been waiting for this moment for a while. You released that work a minute ago. It wasn't too long ago.
No.
Still kind of fresh.
Yeah.
But I was excited to get you on the show before you released it. So
Yes.
you're like, wait, hold on. Let me release the book first.
Yeah. Yes, you were like, I want to be the first, and I'm like, I want you to be the first, but I got to get the book out first.
Yeah, yeah. So I like to start the show by each episode by letting the audience know how I know each guest. Each
Yeah,
guest on the episode is somebody that I know personally. A lot of people that I've either worked with, went to school with in college or high school. Some people I've coached their kids or coached beside them, played sports or different things. Went to church with them even. This individual, particularly Miss Mo, Miss Monika Shotwell, a very good friend of mine. We worked together closely when we were at a hotel here in Murfreesboro,
right.
partnering together to kind of lead the force. And, she was very instrumental in helping me in that effort. And I enjoyed our time together. Our relationship has led to us keeping in touch with one another. And she's still
Absolutely.
inspiring me today. Ms. Mo, what recollection do you have about our relationship?
I remember. you being just someone like a little big brother. You're much taller than I am, but I believe I'm the oldest, so I'll take those bragging. And you were just so driven, and that just awakened, just made me fall in love. Like, oh, I love this, and that's the kind of leader I am. So if I see someone else going 110 and I'm going right with them, I'm gonna run beside them 110 also, because that's what it takes, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you needed on your team at the time, and I was glad to have you as my leader, as my brother, and now my friend. So
Yeah.
that's been many years ago, also.
Yeah, and but you definitely were that. I'm glad that you explained it like that. You did pick up the reins and said, "I see your vision. I'm gonna run with you, brother." And
Absolutely.
I definitely appreciated that. You helped me, stay motivated. I wish it could have lasted a little bit longer than it did, but you helped me stay
Yeah,
motivated on many days when it got challenging there. So
yeah.
I
Well, that's
I
what we have
appreciated
to
you.
do. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for that opportunity. And as we know now, it wasn't just about that opportunity, it was for things that were going to come years later. So here we are.
Absolutely. Didn't know that, but that's why it's important to keep close, build strong networks with your
Yes,
peers and like-minded people, and keep in close contact with those people because you
absolutely.
never know how it's going to benefit you in the future.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
All right, let's get to it. Let's get
Let's
to it.
get to it. Let's get to it.
Your latest creation and the
Yes.
gift to the world is the
Yes.
release of your book, My Leadership Legacy by Monika
Yes.
Shotwell. First, congrats, my sister, on this outstanding accomplishment. I am
Thank
very
you.
proud of you, very, very proud of you.
Yes.
In the
Thank you.
onset of any pursuit, we all know that the hardest action is just to get started. So, what inspired you and motivated you to begin compiling your thoughts and experiences into a book?
So, Mr. Johnny, if I could be 1000% honest, I never inspired to write the book. I only inspired to talk. And I had a poster board full of sticky notes what I was going to talk about when God opened up the opportunity or gave me the platform. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. So one day, just out walking, and God said, start writing. And I said, you want me to write some more sticky notes? And I said,
I got
I
enough of
got a whole
those.
poster board. I'm ready. I'm waiting on you. And so then I would go to the salon, and my hairstylist, Crystal Jones Bond, who's a celebrity stylist and award winning, the GOAT of all times, she said, you should do speaking engagements on leadership because that's your passion. And then I was in Detroit. My sister in law, she was like, what's next for you? And I was like, I don't know. I'm 30 years in this game. I don't know. And she said, well, what do you mean? With all that knowledge, you gotta put it out there.
Hmm.
So fast forward years later, here we are with my leadership legacy. So after, hearing it a few times, God says starts writing. And I thought I had enough sticky notes. So those sticky notes became the foundation for my book, as I started to write my thoughts out and things that I wanted to uncover and just discuss with anybody. If I sat down with anybody, leadership is my first nature next to my name. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm passionate about. And look at the world we live in today, right?
Hmm.
Our leadership is at an all time disarray, and you go and patronize different establishments. You're like, who is running this place, right?
Hmm.
I go to restaurants, and I'm like, where's the manager, who's the
Yeah.
manager?
Yeah.
So those are all the things you pick up naturally as a leader. I can go in a building and dissect it in just about 5 minutes of standing there. I can tell you that those employees are not happy, and probably the reason why they're not happy.
Hmm.
So it's a definitely a skill that God has blessed me with.
It is a skill and it is a gift, and your book is a gift to everybody else who needs help with that skill.
Yeah.
And I will say this: when we worked together, I
Mhm.
noticed early on. I had no. I'll let you guys, audience, know. When we worked together, she was not in the process of writing a book. I had
No.
no idea she was gonna ever even write a book. We'll talk later on about her other creative venture, photography, but that's what I knew her as a photographer outside of work.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that I was not surprised when she called me and told me that she was writing and releasing a book, because some of the things, I don't know if you recall this, but you had conversations with me on and off about leadership here and there, just random. You know, I would be getting ready to leave the hotel and you would be coming in for a shift and we'd be talking for about 15 minutes before I leave, and you'd say a nugget or drop a gem or something related to leadership. And I was like, that makes sense, man. You know what? I appreciate Miss Mo for that. And as soon as you told me that you were writing a book, I was like, man, that just makes perfect sense, because she was dropping nuggets on me way back then. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you explaining how you got started with the book. And
Yeah.
I hope you guys understood what she said. She was preparing out of the passion of her heart to stand up and talk to people
Yeah.
about leadership. That is her passion. So she started exploring her passion. But
Yeah.
God said at one point, start writing the book. Okay. She's like, I don't have a book in me. God said, what's all in post-it notes around the room?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the obedience factor has to kick in.
Yeah.
I have to just do it. I didn't have an intention on writing a book. I was going to talk. I don't even desire to write, but God said, right? So I appreciate that. I hope if you're listening, sometimes you hear that voice in your head, you hear that voice in your that urge in your spirit, in your heart that says go. That you need to go, right? That's God pushing you out the nest, saying, I got a gift for you. You
Yeah.
got to come get it.
Yeah. And even after writing the book, I wasn't even concerned with selling them. I just wanted to be obedient, like you said, and just let someone hear my stories. There's testimonials in the book from many of people that I've managed over the years. Some dated as far back as 20 years ago. They were under my leadership, and I never read their stories until the book was finished. So my
Mhm.
editor, my consultant partner, Kiana Johnson, she said, "Are you sure you don't want to know what they're saying?" I said, "Well, be it good or bad, let them tell their experience with me." And I
Mhm.
said, "Because that's what matters, right? Is if it's all good, great. If it's sometimes that they felt I was the worst leader, that was an opportunity for me to grow and
Mhm.
to become a better leader. And that's what it was about for me. So I must say, when I read the book, when I read the finished copy and I read their stories, I was like, oh, I didn't know they felt this way. So some very touching moments. And many of the people that have bought the book and read it, they said they felt like they were sitting down having tea or wine or coffee, and we were talking about the book. It
Mhm.
was it was as if I was sitting there with them and they were reading and I was talking it out. So,
Monica, that's exactly how I felt. I mean, I probably wouldn't have said those exact words to describe how I felt, but when you say that, that's exactly how I felt. I was sitting there like, I felt like I was having a conversation with you about leadership.
yeah,
Those times in those moments that I just described when we were in the hotel having conversations about leadership were coming back to my memory when I was reading the book. So,
yeah,
man, great. And it takes. They say it takes a great leader to. It takes a great. It it takes a, let's see, a great leader knows how to follow. A good
absolutely.
leader and a great leader knows how to follow. That's what I meant to say. So you following the maybe suggestions by maybe some of the letters that helped you grow was like, okay, maybe not all the letters might not be positive, but there might be
Yeah,
a few that can help me grow.
absolutely.
That's a sign of a great leader, because you say, guess what? I know I'm a leader. I mean I ain't perfect, but guess
Right.
what? My next level of leadership is going to be even bigger than this one, because now I know some areas I can grow in. And that
Absolutely.
and that's the epitome of climbing the ladder of leadership, is understanding where you're weakest at and building those areas up.
Absolutely.
instead of just only hanging on to your strengths. So that's amazing, Mo. I'm gonna give you opportunity to talk more about that book and answer some more questions for the audience with the
Okay.
answers to these questions. Describe the book writing process for yourself. How long did it take to complete? And what were some of the challenges you had to overcome in the process of completing it?
So me, I'm a busybody. I like to be. I'm busy. And so for about 6 months, I did nothing but write. I would get off work every day from my main job, and I would come home and I would be tunneled on what I was writing because I had my foundation, remember? I had my
Mm-hmm.
sticky notes, and
Mm-hmm.
I would write them wherever I was. If I was at a restaurant and a thought came to my mind, I always kept a pen and a notepad
Mm-hmm.
with me in my purse. So if a thought came together, or if I heard a word that said, oh, that would be great to write about, to speak about, because it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a book. It was not a book. So, in that 6 months of me gathering all my sticky notes, I said, I'm ready. I got all my notes. And then he said, start writing a book. And I said, we didn't talk about a book. I want to go and, talk on stage somewhere. I
Yeah.
want to go to. So,
He said the book comes first.
yeah, so I would say that whole process of me gathering my sticky notes was probably 6 to 8 months because I still had, my photography, my I'm a leader at work still, I'm a coach at work, and I still have those things. I still mentor on the side young adults that
Mm-hmm.
have been under my leadership, or someone that they recommend, just to let's get there together, and that's my journey. That's our journey together.
Mm-hmm.
But 6 to 8 months I started on it, and then I ran into some hiccups with finding an editor that I felt the passion
Mm-hmm.
within me. That's really
Important to it.
big. That's really big. If the passion isn't on the other side, how can they possibly bring your book to life?
Mm-hmm.
They can't. And so I ran into that a few times. And now, mind you, I'm still spitting out money. I'm, and I said, now, wait a minute. It's not supposed to cost this much to write a
Yeah.
book.
Like, wait,
It's
hold
a
up.
it's an easy read book. I wrote it because I wanted an easy read book because in leadership you're tasked with so many things throughout the day that a 300-400 page book doesn't work in my life. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a mother, and at that time I was even a younger mother, and my kids were younger, so I didn't have time to come home and read a book to be ready to talk about it the next day at work. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted a practical, easy read book for leaders that just want to get a little in their day to keep them going. And so it talks about all of that, but um, just sitting down, from 5 to 9 every day, I wrote, I wrote, and I, scratch out. I had so many. I have pages this big of printouts that I printed, and taking pages out. Like, I don't want this, I don't want that. But the biggest part for me was finding the right partnership
Mm-hmm.
that believed in what I was talking about, and it was more to them like it was to me than just a book,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a key part of the process that you pointed out, is selecting, the other people that are going to help you in this venture, because
yeah,
it's such a personal thing. When you're
yeah,
writing a book, it's coming out of your brain and your heart and your experiences, that if someone is not relating to the message that you're trying to portray in it, the editing is not going to be effective, and the book is not going to hit like it's supposed to hit. So I appreciate you expressing that. If you're watching, this is a gem. This episode is another episode in our book author series. I didn't mention that earlier, but I have interviewed several book authors, and this is another episode in the book author series. And in the book author series, I try to ask questions that get the authors to share a little bit about their process so that you understand. Because I think there's a lot of people, Monica, out there that have a book in their head and a book in their
Everybody.
heart, and I
Everybody.
think there's a lot of people that everybody has one, and there's a lot of people that want to get it out but don't know how to start, don't
Yeah.
even, they don't have a clue where to start and how to start. And it is not the same for everyone, but
Yeah.
it does take initiative. If you notice, her process was she just wanted to express it in words, so she used sticky notes, and she
Yeah.
compiled all those sticky notes into paragraphs and sentences that eventually became a book. You can use technology. You can use a phone and voice record. You can
Yeah.
use, all these different types of apps. And then, voice to text. You can sit there and talk and have a whole conversation and have it convert your words to text. And then you can edit that text into a book. So there's a number of ways to start and a number of ways to get your ideas out. I encourage and inspire you out there, if you have a book in your head and a book in your heart, to go ahead and start that thing, and find whatever method works for you to get started.
Now, Mr. Johnny, I'm glad you said the voice to text because I had just bought a new computer for my photography, and I was like, I sure wish this thing would take my voice and type it out. And
Hmm.
so I Googled and it said use diction on your computer. So I pulled up diction.
Yeah.
Oh, we was in heaven then. I sat back like this and I had a whole lot of conversations. I
You
just
like, this
started
book finna
talking.
get written for real.
I just started talking when it was time to bring the book to life.
Yeah.
And it took me three editors. After when my third editor was the best for me, we related on so many levels, spiritually, emotionally. And she said, just speaking to me, she could just feel it. And she said, this book is going to be a blessing to many. She said, whether it's new leadership or seasoned leadership, getting back to the real reason, the root is always going to be where we go back to, where we start back.
It's a key. I encourage anyone in leadership, anyone, I don't care what level of leadership you're on and how many years you've spent in leadership. This book, if nothing else, even for the most experienced leader, is a reminder of where you came from and those who are
Yeah.
beneath you, who are looking to get to where you are, how you
Yeah.
can help them, how you can encourage them, how can you inspire them, how can
Yeah.
you develop them. So this book is very helpful to anyone in leadership. I encourage you to go get the book. We'll talk about where you can get it very
Yeah.
soon. But let's move forward. Your book signing event. I went to that event. It was great. I enjoyed it. It was beautiful. I was impressed highly with everything that was part of the event. It was an amazing turnout. You had a lot of community support. To me,
Yes.
the variety of people, the diversity of people that were there, different ages, different ethnic diversities, is a testament to me and a reflection of the impact that you made in leadership over the years. Talk about what that day meant to you and how it impacted your book launch.
Oh my God. I still get emotional just thinking about that day. I didn't know it would be that big. That was my first book signing, and people had, be prepared, it's going to be probably about this, and I said, okay, that's plenty for me to talk in front of. But to walk in that room, first of all, let me shout out my team. I had my god sister. I'm losing my voice thinking about it. I had my god sister there doing my photography. My other god sister was spearheading the food and the other things. My children came in town. I had family fly in from Vegas. I had family to fly in from Oklahoma. I had family to come in from Memphis. I had young adults that I had mentored and managed 15 years ago to come in from Memphis and Atlanta, and they was just coming from everywhere. And many a times you hear people say, oh yeah, I'll be there, and then they don't show. But
Hmm.
that happens. But when I say anybody that RSVP'd, I might have missed 10 people. And we were wall to wall. We were
Mm-hmm.
we were
Mm-hmm.
wall to wall. And I'm thinking, well, okay, they didn't make it, but I didn't have any more seats. So
It's all right. It's all right. They
and
can
I,
come to the next one.
yeah, I cried the entire time. I asked my photographer, Margaret Mosley, who's a photographer out of Memphis. I said, "Sis, did you get any pictures of me not crying?" She said, "No, that's what you did the whole time you were there." So it was just a beautiful event. But Johnny, I can tell you this: we didn't grow up with a lot in my family. We didn't grow up with silver spoons. We didn't grow up with, eating steak for dinner every night. My mother worked hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I was left many a times to watch my younger brother, and it would just be us. Well, we were latchkey kids. And I felt like this was my way to inspire those that are coming behind me, because we've all had kids, so nowadays we've got to instill, we've got to pour into the next generation so that they will know that it is possible. So when they see their cousin, their mom, their auntie, their Gigi, I'm a grandmother also, when they
Mm-hmm.
see all of that and they say my Gigi did it, so I can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have my family, see that there is more to life and we can do so much more. Let's raise our kids up with big dreams.
Mm-hmm.
That was what my grandmother instilled in me as a young girl. Yeah, go in there and write a dream down. Go write it out. And I said, write it out. Well, who's gonna get the note? It was like writing a letter to Santa.
Right.
Who's going to get to know? And
Right.
my grandmother used to say some of the wildest things to me, to us as her grandchildren. And I would be like, grandmother, always saying something crazy. Go write down my dream. Why? Who's going to get it? Who's going to read it? But I am the second oldest granddaughter on my mom's side, and I'm the oldest grandchild on my dad's side. So I have to carry that torch. I've
Yeah.
got to lead where others will follow, and they've got to look and see, oh, my big cousin did it. I can do it too. And that's what it's all about.
Setting
Yeah.
that example, yeah, setting that example and leading
Yeah.
for even for your family,
Yeah.
not just for those people who read the book or those people you've coached and mentored or managed over the years, but your
Yeah.
family members, those closest to you, the nieces, the nephews, the
Right.
grandchildren, your siblings that will look up to you and say, I know somebody close to me that did this. I can
Yeah.
do it too. It's
I
one of the
can do
reasons
it.
I'm doing this podcast. I mean,
Absolutely.
maybe nobody in my family, none of my children or none of my cousins might desire to do this particular style of creativity. But maybe the
Right.
fact that I'm doing it might encourage them to say, you know what, my cousin, my brother, my
My daddy.
nephew, my daddy, he did this. I can do this. I can
Yeah.
do it.
And
So
they'll take it to a whole new level,
yeah.
right? They'll they'll do what you're doing, and it'll be angel, it'll be something flying in the sky, and you're like, how did you get that to
Man,
happen?
what? Man,
Yeah.
I
So
could I could have never done that.
yeah, our kids are so advanced,
Yeah.
but that's what the word told us they would be, that
Hmm.
each generation would be sharper than the next generation, and he has not lied. These kids, my granddaughter at 1 years old knows how to knew how to unlock my phone
Yeah.
and get on her YouTube where she could watch something to go to sleep. And I'm like, hey,
Help you
you
set
can, yeah.
help you set your computer up. Help you get your Wi-Fi set up. You're like, what the heck? You 2 years old. You
Yeah,
know how to
so
set
when
a
I put
Wi-Fi
something new now,
network up.
I'll call my son. I'm like, "Hey, come and make this computer do what I need it to do." He's like,
You can't even
"What?"
explain what you need to do. Real
So
life stories, a trial,
yeah,
error, success, and maybe a few laughs along the way. All right.
yeah,
All right. So let's move forward. Writing isn't the only creative skill you possess. You are
yeah,
also a skilled portrait photographer.
yeah,
Compare your love for photography and the creativity in it. to the passion you now have for writing and that creative process? How are they different and similar?
So they are similar because they're both my ministry. I meet a lot of people that I don't know. And I meet a lot of, and I get to interact with people that I do know that spread the word to say, hey, contact her. She'll do some great photos for you. So, photography is another love that I have that I'm passionate about. Anything that allows me to connect with the human spirit. I've taken pictures of women that did not find themselves beautiful, and looking at them from a natural eye, I'm thinking, honey, well, give me one third of what you got, and I can figure out the rest. But drop dead gorgeous people, inside and out, but um, didn't feel beautiful, um, in their
Or worth
soul,
on the
in their
inside?
spirit, and I'm like, how is that? It was the most, so we would spend time. I didn't take pictures and say, you got 45 minutes, that's what you paid me for.
Hmm.
I shoot until I get what I want.
Hmm.
I shoot until I capture the moment. I do candid shooting. I don't do staged. I don't want you to do this. I want you to be walking and you look up, and I catch
Natural.
that shot. So those are things that I love, and I love shooting family. I do family weddings, seniors, prom, send offs. The moments that you look back and they matter. They still
Hmm.
matter.
Hmm.
So those are the moments that I look for. I don't do. I'm not a nature photographer. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
stand and wait for the bird to land. I'm not going to look for it. I will shoot a butterfly because they're just beautiful,
Yeah.
and the nature of a butterfly. But yeah,
See, we
so
share we share photography as a passion in common,
yeah,
and but we're exactly opposite in that. Like, I don't really prefer to shoot people. I've done it, and I can, and I'm pretty good at it. But I'll stand there and wait for lightning to strike, so I can get lightning streaking today.
I am not
You
standing
know what I'm
outside waiting on lightning.
saying?
No, sir.
Two totally different types of photography, man.
Yes, you like the adventure side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I don't know about the adventure as much. I'm just trying to capture the lightning, and I'll be patient enough to wait for it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
All right. Talk about the support that you've gained from your personal and professional communities over the years, and how those relationships have inspired your creative ventures.
I didn't think much of it as a younger person growing up. I thought that I had the worst teachers in the world because they always wanted to keep up with me. They always wanted to make sure I was in class on time, and if I wasn't, they were calling my mama to say, "Hey, did she come to school today?" And I'm thinking, "What is this?" And then growing up, so I've always been centered, been blessed to have great mentors. I haven't always had great leadership, but I've always had great mentors that would help walk me through that experience, because the other side of me would would give them exactly what they thought I
um,
was. And, my mentor would, snatch me back, and I'm still really, really good friends with those mentors to this day. And I even mention it in my book how when I call, they answer, or they call me back and they're like, what you got going on, little girl?
mhm,
So having great people in your life is key.
mhm.
And you don't need a lot. You don't need any yes people. You need people that's going to tell you the honest truth. And if they think that you're not giving your 110, then they're going to tell you, hey,
Yeah.
you suck. You need to do better here, or, whatever it is. So I appreciate having those people, but they've kept me grounded. They've prayed me through some things. They've prayed me from acting out sometimes, but I don't do that anymore. Uh, so,
Not in public.
not in public, no. But having that, and then also, having, when you have kids, you now have a much bigger responsibility because
Mhm.
someone else is looking up to you.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. It's important to make sure that you make that impact definitely for the kids. And when you're in a leadership position like like you are, and you've planted yourself in the leadership capacity, like I
Yeah.
am talking about leadership, I am building and developing leaders, it's even more important for you to be that leader at home, because not only is your son looking at you as mom and the leader of the house, uh, but also, are you going to do what you said you're going to do? Are you going to do what you're telling other people to do? I
Absolutely.
read your book too, mom. Are you going to do it what you telling me to do in the book?
Yes. And he's that one. He's that one to
Right.
say, "Oh, you didn't do it, so I don't have to do it." And it's
Right.
like, where did this one come from? So,
Remember page 37, second
yeah,
paragraph.
yeah, yeah.
uh,
He's that kid. He's
he's
that
that
young adult.
kid. All right, let's talk about your hometown of Memphis. You talked about earlier being raised in Memphis and growing up in Memphis. Recent NBA analysts have discussed the city of Memphis in relation to the Grizzlies and described the lack of infrastructure around the stadium to support its growth, thus acting as a reflection of the stagnation of the city. Tell us
Hmm.
about what growing up there was like for you and what your personal desires for the future of your hometown are.
Memphis is home. You're going to get some good food there. You're going to get some great music and entertainment from there. And the stagnation comes from so many different um, entities of it. It's not just, poverty. It's not just the lack of resources. It's not just the lack of financial support behind it. And that does play a huge role in it. But it's also the mindset that we've grown into that it can't be more. Memphis has always been on the map for great things, and it still can be. So we've taken a little bit of a turn, but my hope and prayer is that we bring Memphis back and revive it as it's always been. I mean, think about it. Some of your best people, your best entertainers came out of Memphis, Tennessee. You got Isaac Hayes, you got BB King, you got Elvis, you've got so many great performers. My father once performed with Stax Records and worked really close with David Porter and the Temprees and all of them. So Memphis is home for me, and it always will be. And I travel there often, and I still have family there, and I will forever support Memphis. And when I can share a good word with somebody, let's turn this around. Let's get there. So we've got some great things going on in Memphis. So not just all of the trouble that's publicized on the news. Memphis has some great things still going on in that city, despite what's happening. What we see on the big screen.
Yeah.
So. I believe
Yeah.
that the Grizzlies will, get the stadium that they deserve, because there will be we're building them everywhere else. So why not Memphis? Let's bring some of the income back into it, but you've got to maintain it and you got to take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate your take on that, on Memphis. And I asked that question because I'm fond of Memphis. I'm not from Memphis. I haven't
Yep,
spent a lot of time in Memphis, but I know a lot of people from Memphis. And,
absolutely.
I have spent enough time in Memphis to know that it's very similar to my hometown of Vallejo, California. It's a smaller
Yeah.
city. I mean, it's a bigger city than Vallejo, California, but a lot of the same issues that Memphis deals with, Vallejo deals with,
Oh
on
wow.
the same levels. And so, but a lot of the pride is on the same levels. A lot of the talent out of the city on the same levels.
Yeah.
And so I like to ask that question because there's some relativity there between Memphis, Tennessee, and Vallejo, California, in relation to the lifestyle, the upbringing, the culture, the pride that Memphians and Vallejoans, are kind of bred up in, when you come from those areas. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I know there's a lot of people watching this that are from Memphis that feel the same exact way as you. So cool.
Yeah.
So
Don't
cool.
give up on us. We're coming back. got some great NBA players there, and they're not gonna let it go. They're not gonna let it go easily because that's where it started for them. So they're not gonna walk away easy. So I
Yeah.
believe that the Anthony Hardaways and the Todd Days, they'll hang in there. You know.
It'll take a lot to peel them up out of Memphis, and I think
Oh
it'd have to get a lot worse for it to happen. And I hope that it gets a lot
yeah.
better very quickly. I took my son, to see a Grizzlies game last
Okay.
year to see they played against the Spurs, and he saw Victor Wembanyama. He was very
Oh
excited. He got to stand next to him. Like the picture I took was amazing. How tall that dude is, man.
yeah.
But and there was surprise walking from the hotel to the arena was an easy walk, a quick walk. I felt pretty safe. There was a lot of people out there, but I
Yeah.
also saw people walking real fast, and I heard some people say, "Man, you don't want to be out here after a certain time." And so I'm concerned about those things for Memphis because I would love the Grizzlies to stay in Memphis and for them to flourish. Just like I want to see Vallejo, excel in certain areas. That's why I do certain segments about my city to help raise awareness and raise the pride, the level of pride in the city. So I appreciate that. But
And
go ahead. I'm gonna let you
I
go.
was gonna say, and I didn't grow up in the elite part of Memphis. I grew up in the hood of Memphis. I
Hmm.
grew up in Binghamton, Tennessee. I mean, Binghamton, Tennessee, in Binghamton, which
Hmm.
is a section in Memphis that never got any good things. You know, no one ever said anything good about us. I graduated from East High School, and I'm a Mustang for life. And, but we've always, gotten a bad rap. And I guess it takes us to turn that around to make it a good rap
Hmm.
because the people are only going to put out what they see. If they keep seeing a lot of crime, that's all they're going to talk about is the crime in Memphis. They're not going to talk about the great athletes that came out of Memphis, or they're not going to talk about the great things that those people are doing.
Right.
And they're not going to speak about it. So of course that's what the public is going to know. But I am a product of Memphis. I my children attended high school in Memphis, and college in Memphis. So Memphis for life for me. And
That's it.
yeah. So
That's it.
I support Memphis.
I'm the same way. I'm Vallejo for life. Our city has its share of challenges
Absolutely.
by all means, but Vallejo for life, man. That's who we are.
Vallejo, Memphis for life.
All right. Well, that's going to lead and segue straight on in to this next segment. You were raised in Memphis.
Absolutely.
You lived for some years in Atlanta, Georgia. You
Absolutely.
now reside in the Murfreesboro, Nashville, Tennessee area.
Yes.
So, I like to have a little fun with my guests when I interview them before we go, play a game or two, not just, ask them a few questions and get up off here.
All
So,
right.
are you down?
I'm down. Let's
All
go.
right. All right. So strap in for another installment of Who Got It?
All right. Who got it? Now, I also lived in California. So
Oh, you
you
lived
got
in Cali too? Where you live at? Where you
I
lived at in
lived in
Cali?
San Fernando. I went to San Fernando High School for a period in my life. I went out there to pursue a music career. So speaking has always been a part of my
See,
life.
it's even more layers. I worked with this woman for a year, over a year. We done had multiple conversations on the telephone. Even after I worked with her, I'm from California. How I'm just now knowing she went to
I
high
don't
school in
know.
California.
Yes, San Fernando Valley. Yes.
Layers upon layers. Well, we about to find some more layers out right now.
Let's
All right.
go.
All right. So not everybody watching has been to Memphis. Not everybody watching has been to Atlanta. And not everybody watching has been to Nashville or Murfreesboro.
Hmm.
So your insights here might help someone watching.
Okay.
So I got 5 questions for you. Who got it? Memphis, Atlanta, or Nashville? I'm just gonna say Nashville, okay, for all intents and purposes.
Okay.
You can consider Murfreesboro in the Nashville mix if you choose to.
Okay.
All right. Who got it? Which of the three cities is the most would be the most interesting city to write a story about?
Memphis. Memphis. Memphis gonna give you a little bit of everything. You're gonna get some soul food. You're gonna get some food for your soul. You're gonna get some entertainment for your soul. You're gonna have a great time when you go there. You might run for your life, but you're gonna have a great time while you're there. You're gonna meet some really outstanding people, and then you're gonna see some people that you say, "Yeah, I don't have anything on me. I don't have anything on me. So I'm not
That's
your
gonna add
guy."
to the story.
Yes, it's gonna add to the story, and then you're gonna meet some people that have a true love for Memphis.
Hmm.
You're gonna feel it. They're Memphis for life. So, and I'm Memphis for life. So, yeah,
For sure. All right. So the most interesting city to write a story about would be Memphis.
absolutely.
For many different reasons. I can see where you're going there. I see what you did
Yeah, yeah.
there. All right, who got it? Memphis, Atlanta, or Nashville? Which city has the best opportunity for personal growth?
Nashville. Nashville. Nashville is being developed as we speak. When I moved here, I moved to an area where I told the manager I'm not going to take the job because there's nothing but woods there, and I don't want to live in the country. So when I moved here in 2015, it was nothing but just
Mhm.
wooded areas, and I thought, who gonna live? What is going on in this backwoods this backwoods town? And here it is, 2026. There's businesses all around. There's new homes. There's mansions in down the street and around the corner, and then so Nashville,
Nashville.
Murfreesboro, absolutely.
It's still growing, and it's allowing it will allow individuals to grow. Atlanta
Uh,
is a little convoluted, a little
yeah,
congested,
yeah.
and Memphis
Atlanta,
has its share of capacities, like most tough urban cities do,
yes. Hmm.
and that's just using
Uh,
using a dictionary. I'm just trying to use a dictionary.
You know what? I love Atlanta. So when I want to have a real good time real quick, Atlanta is my hot spot. So
Yeah.
I'll give Atlanta their props too, but I'm in and out. So,
Yeah, for sure. Got to come back to where it's
yeah.
cool to grow. All right, who got it? Memphis, Atlanta, or Nashville? Which city would you claim for their musical roots?
Memphis. Memphis. I mean, come on. You got the latest and greatest out of Memphis. You got MJG, I mean,
A ball, MJG.
8 Ball, MJG. They live down the street from me when we lived in Orange Mound. And,
Wow.
I didn't know they would be big stars. That they was just homies in the neighborhood,
Hmm.
young black boys that you saw standing on the corner rapping. And, if that's your thing, you
Young
stand
Black
there and listen.
Brothers.
But yeah, they were just young men trying to make a living. Isaac Hayes, everybody likes to say Elvis. Elvis was not from Memphis. He was from Tupelo, Mississippi, but he made his home in Memphis. So, Memphis,
Well, you
so
got I'm not going to take it away from you. I'm not going to take nothing away from you on that one. Because you could have picked either one for a lot of different
yes,
reasons. You could have
yeah,
picked either one.
yeah.
There
Now,
are some people that'll say, yeah, how the hell she picked Memphis over Atlanta, and
that's
then
where
there's
it
other people
started.
that say, you mean she's in Music City, she lives in there, and she picks Memphis.
Yeah,
But Memphis has a very rich music history. For those of you
yes,
who love music and love music history, go, if you don't know about it, go search music. Memphis has as deep of music and rich music history as Detroit, as Motown.
yes, yes. They have
Go do
stacked
some
records
research.
in Memphis. So, and they made it into a place that you could come and visit, Sun Studio. And people flock there, they come there. So now Nashville has it's home of the country music, but, I didn't grow up in country music. I grew up with Aretha Franklin and listening to my father sing. And so I heard a lot of rich R&B, love music. I didn't hear a lot of country music. I didn't know anything. Elvis was as country as it got for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember. But, coming here when I want to have a, great time where people come visit, they want to go downtown, they want to go downtown and hear some music. So I'm all for it. Music I love, no matter how you give it to me. I love
Yeah.
music.
For sure, for sure. If it's a vibe, man, I'm with it.
Yeah.
And but I want to say this just to add to it. We're gonna keep going. We got a few more for you, but I want to add to this when you talk about Nashville and related to country music. Those there are many people that was watching this that would say, you know, people like to relate Nashville to country music, and when its original roots to music is gospel. Through the Fifth
Mm.
Jubilee Singers, that's how
Oh
it's got its
yeah.
name as Music City, USA. And so I just want to make that point because some people only know Nashville for country music and don't know that the original reason why Nashville got the name Music City, USA is because of the Fifth Jubilee Singers who sung gospel music around the world. And
Yeah.
that name was given to Nashville by, I think, Queen Elizabeth,
Okay.
um, or someone of that level of dignity when
Ah.
Fisk went and traveled around the world and performed in front of them. So,
See, you just enlightened me. I didn't know that. I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know about the Jubilee Singers, but I didn't know. I knew about Fisk University, so I just wondered, how did they name that Fisk? But I
yeah,
didn't, I didn't know that. So thank you for sharing.
for
All right,
sure, for
all
sure.
right,
That's what this show's
Nashville.
about, for
All right.
sure. All right, so the place that you would claim for their musical roots would be Memphis. All right, here we go. Who got it? Memphis, Atlanta, or Nashville? If money was no object and the need was present, in which city would you build $1 million home?
Hmm. Probably the borough.
Not even Nashville, Murfreesboro.
Probably the borough. If you building $1 million home, you want to be somewhere where you can come home and not worry about being followed or drawing too much attention. That's one thing I do love about Murfreesboro. Even though it's getting busier as we speak, but it's like a little relaxed town, like a hideaway or something. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel, yeah, yeah, I would do it.
Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
Murfreesboro. All right, awesome. I appreciate your response to that. All right, last one. Last one. Who got it? Memphis, Atlanta, or Nashville? Which city has the best cultural mix of food, music, and ethnic diversity?
What you said. um Now that's a three-way story. I think Memphis has the food, Atlanta has the cultural diversity because it became like a little Detroit. It People came from everywhere for the opportunities that were presented years ago, and then Nashville wraps in there also. I would have to give a point to each one. I would have to give something to each one of them.
A tie
They
on each
all
one of
got
those.
it.
Yeah, they. I would say all three cities are very diverse in
Yes.
culture, in music, in food, in
Yeah.
experiences, things that you can do there for sure. Atlanta being the biggest of the three cities,
Hmm.
and um, maybe the blackest of the three cities total
But you know what?
in total. But
Atlanta has a lot of diversity though, because people are
right, that's
looking
where I was
for,
going.
yeah, different opportunities. So even though it's very urban, as a matter of fact, when I was in leadership for a particular company that shall remain unnamed, I had more diversity in Atlanta than I had when I went to Memphis to
Hmm.
lead that market.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, the diversity was there, but not as much at home in Memphis.
Well, Atlanta does have an international airport, so people do come from all over the
Yeah,
world and land there. Some people
yeah,
end up staying there, for whatever reasons. So, it is a hub in the South.
Yeah.
The biggest city. It's like the Los Angeles of the South or the New York of the
Yeah.
South. You know what I mean?
They like the
So
busy life.
yeah, man, that traffic is crazy. All right, but that was fun. That was fun. So we got
Yes,
who
yes,
got it? Memphis, Atlanta, or Murfreesboro? So the most interesting city to write a story about would be Memphis. The best
absolutely.
opportunity for personal growth would be Nashville or Murfreesboro.
Hmm.
The city that you would claim for their musical roots would be your hometown of Memphis. And if
Yes.
money was no object, the need was present, you would build $1 million home in Murfreesboro, and you believe that the best cultural mix of food, music, and diversity is neither of the three, but all of the three.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
I
right.
stand on that. I stand on business, as the young folks say. I stand on
Stand on all our responses. Is this your final answer?
that's my final answer.
Stand on business. Miss Mo, I appreciate you in
Yes.
engaging in that game and that round and episode of Who Got It With Me. That was fun. That was fun. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. All right, we're almost done. But before we go, I got one last question for you.
Yes.
If you were to give a motivational talk to a room of individuals who are aspiring to become more of a leader in their industry or to get promoted to higher levels of leadership in their business or company, what real life story from your journey would you share with the group in hopes of motivating them?
I would tell them that leadership is not about a title. It's not about making a lot of money. I say this: you don't make a lot of money, you're responsible for a lot of money. So that's my statement there. I would be responsible for millions of dollars, and I'm like, hey, that's not my money. But I think there's always been a myth around leadership. You get to tell people what to do. No one ever talked about the true meaning behind leadership. You get to impact people's lives, such as teachers do. That's why the teachers are so important and where your kids start at. You being a parent, it's so important that we start them out with the impact that they're going to go out and share with the world one day. So I would tell someone that look into your heart. Go inside to see what it is that you truly, why you want to do it. Why do you want to be a leader? What is it that you want to share, and are you really going to be down for it? Because leadership gets very challenging. Many different personalities, many challenges. I thought that being a leader, that just meant I was going to work for the company. No, in one day I was a doctor, I was a lawyer, I was a finance advisor,
Counselor.
I was a counselor, a spiritual advisor, a prayer warrior, a mother, a father
Mhm.
to those that didn't have those parents. So leadership is multifaceted. So if you think you're just going to walk in there and oh, I'm here to be the leader. No, you're there to be all walks of life, to impact the lives of others in a positive way.
That is powerful. That's amazing. Y'all need to go pick up the book because if that touched you in any way, what she just said, if you are a leader, that should have touched you. One of the things that she said should have touched you in some kind of way,
Yeah.
because um, it's a revelation to a lot of people. It was a
Mhm.
revelation to me when she was speaking to me when we worked together. It was more of a revelation when I read the book that I'm more than just an individual that the company hired to hold a position to manage some responsibilities and some duties and some tasks.
Yes.
They hired me to lead these other human beings in this operation. And in leading these other human beings, I become, like Miss Mo said, a parent, a counselor, a
Mhm.
motivator, an encourager, spiritual counselor, financial advisor, and whatever. A lot of
Yeah.
times, a friend, a confidant, a crying shoulder. Sometimes whatever. And that book is a reminder of that, and I think it's important for every leader to remember that your job is more than just clocking in, clocking out, and making sure the tasks are done for the day, but
Yeah.
impacting your biggest real role and responsibility is impacting those individuals that you make contact with every single day in a
Every
positive
single
way.
day. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's dope, Mo. I really appreciate that. And like I said, you guys need to go pick up the book. We're going to put information down below. I'm going to give you in a second more opportunity to talk to our audience, but we're going to put the information down below so you guys could know exactly where to go find her book.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you the opportunity now, Miss Mo, to share with our audience anything that you'd like to personally share about your book. You can feel free to promote any of the products or services that you might also have to offer, and
Okay.
any other words of encouragement. The floor is yours.
So first of all, you can purchase my merch at Monika Shotwell. That's Monikashot as in Tom WELL.com. For any of my merchandise, you can buy my books on the website, and you can also find me on Amazon at My Leadership Legacy, Monika Shotwell. Um, the book is it's a good easy read. If you don't feel inspired when you get done with the book, then we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it because that means there's something else going on. But also, getting ready to host my first workshop from the book, also inspired from a dream that I had. And again, I keep notepads everywhere. I keep them in my purse, in my bed, on my nightstand. And when I wake up out of my sleep, I'm like, what? So, looking forward already on to my next book, writing my next book. It's going to be dope. What comes out of that one? So I can't tell you that one yet. But if you'd like to come and speak with me in person or just have a conversation, May 23rd. Remember the date. Save the date. May 23rd in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We'll be doing some a workshop where we kind of dig into the book and we talk about it a little bit more. You can't get everything out the book. Sometimes you got to come hear me speak. And I'll have a panel of individuals that you can also bounce things off of. So you won't just hear my voice this go round. You'll hear the voice of some other leaders that have done it for 30 years, 40 years, different types of leadership. I like to spotlight those vendors, people that are doing great things. One of my babies that I've managed years ago, she owns her own bakery in Memphis, Tennessee. So she'll be there with her sweet treats, and and hopefully we'll talk about the legacy. Let's leave a legacy. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. That is amazing, Mo. If you guys are in, if any of you watching are in Murfreesboro, in Nashville area on March, is it March or May?
May 23rd.
May. I'm sorry, May 23rd.
Yeah.
There will be information. If you follow Ms. Mo, the link, we'll have the link to her websites down below so you could keep up with that and follow that. I think that would be an amazing workshop, a good place to come and learn and meet some good other leaders,
Yeah.
and network with some other leaders in your community. So thank you, Mo, for that. I
Thank
appreciate that.
you.
Again, the links for the book will be down below. You can also find it on Amazon.com.
Yes.
And so those links will be available to you. The merch links also. I love that hoodie. When we came to the your
Book
book
sign.
signing, I bought a
Huh?
mug.
Yeah.
I drink out of that mug often. People
You
be
got
wanting to know,
your
man,
book.
do he got a book? That's right here.
You got your book. You got your book.
She signed it.
Yes,
Look,
I did.
I
Yes,
went
I
to the book
did.
signing. Wait. Oh, that's her in the book. But yeah, I got an autograph. You know what I'm saying? I got autograph.
Absolutely.
And there's other authors, there are people that I've interviewed in this episode or on this podcast that I've interviewed, and I haven't had their books at the time that I interviewed them. So if you're watching, I hope you don't feel some kind of way. I just didn't have your
No,
book in
they
my
don't.
possession, but most of you, I have a book or your book that you wrote. I do own it. So, but Ms. Mo, thank you very much for doing this. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. This
I
was fun.
yes.
We gonna keep in touch because I look forward to seeing what comes next on your new ventures, and
Absolutely.
what comes up after the workshop. I know we talked about some new things, so I'm looking forward to you on
Yeah,
that next venture and that next frontier.
absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Johnny, and I hope to see you at the workshop.
I will. I plan on being there. I'm putting it on my calendar as soon as we get off of here.
All right.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of Revisit Your Dreams. I want to remind you to subscribe, to like, to share this episode. If you know anyone who is writing a book, or anyone who is a leader or aspiring to become a leader, or someone who's been a leader for a very long time and needs just a little bit of recharge, go tap into Miss Mo's book, My Leadership Legacy. Information down below. Again, we want to thank you for joining us on another episode of Revisit Your Dreams. Our episodes air Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for everyone out there on the West Coast. And we will see you again on another episode of Revisit Your Dreams real soon. One love. We out.
We're out. Oh gosh, I was so nervous.
Man, what? At least we're gonna give you the opportunity to share a little bit about what's in that book. How about
Okay.
that?
Yeah,
How about that?
sounds good to me.
We won't ask you to read the book in its entirety.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. We want them to invest and come and be a part of the workshop and the coaching sessions. We're going to do some live coachings and see what we can help people.
Yeah, for sure. It's an amazing book, though. I'm super proud of you. How's it
Thank
been going
you.
since you released it?
Busy.
Yeah,
Busy. I'll be in Florida next month to introduce the book.
like a book
And
signing.
not quite a book signing. I have someone I know is doing an event there, and so she asked me to come down and bring some books, and I'm like, how am
Mm.
I gonna ship? I'm gonna ship the books ahead of time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but just a conversation about the book and the meaning behind the book.
It's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. And that's how it starts, though. You write a book, and then, people want to invite you to talk about that book and talk about how it
yeah.
can impact their organization, and grow from there.
Well, Johnny, when I wrote the book, it wasn't just for professional for me.
Hmm.
I always believe in the years that I've been in leadership that what you do personally, it spills over to your professional life and vice
Hmm.
versa. I can remember my son being about 6 years old and he loved to talk in school. So I would give him SMART goals. Well, SMART goals were something that we would work on at my job. We would have the S for specific and the M for measured and what action you're going to take. So I would have him fill those out. And I said, I'm treating my son as my employee, but I wanted him to go to school and be quiet at school. So, um,
Have a purpose and a reason for being there every day. Like,
yes, and not interrupting the class. Now you don't talk at all. So
all right, man. That's parenting, though. We raise a child in a way that they would, they should go, and they won't depart from it.
Mhm.